Lots more motorsports coverage to come throughout the weekend here. The O'Reilly Superstart Batteries NHRA Fall Nationals Finals coming your way 7 o'clock Eastern time tonight on ESPN2. And then we'll wrap up the entire weekend on NASCAR Now tonight, weekend edition, talking about what happened here with the NASCAR Nationwide and Sprint Cup races. And, of course, next weekend we go to Kansas City. Kansas City, here we come. NASCAR Nationwide Series at Kansas, 3 Eastern time next Saturday on ESPN2. And the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Kansas on ABC Live at 1 o'clock Eastern time. Battle up front here in the AAA 400 at Dover. Ryan Newman is the leader, and Kurt Busch wants it.
Yeah, not for long. Ryan Newman's going to lose this lead to Kurt Busch. This car's really coming in nice.
Let's update the 2 car. Shannon.
Well, it wasn't an ideal starting position for this number 2 car today. They started 16th, but you saw early on they were on the move. Very happy with the handling of the car, just a little bit loose. They made an air pressure adjustment on that last pit stop, as you see crew chief Pat Tryson looking on. But the biggest thing that got them this track position, guys, 2 right side tires.
Kurt Busch made his very first career start in a NASCAR Sprint Cup car here back in 2000. Now here's the younger brother Kyle Busch in the 18 car, and he's been moving up steadily, now being shown in the 7th position.
Yeah, he's moved up 10 spots since the restart. See, Stewart's also moved up 10 spots from the back.
And Carl Edwards had to start in the very rear there. We've been watching Kyle Busch quite a bit here. He's really been in the middle of the racetrack where a lot of these guys are down more towards the bottom. He's really utilizing the middle portion of this track and making good time.
Back behind the 18 car, the 98 and 48, Paul Menard and Jimmy Johnson back in 8th and 9th position.
Jimmy, he got going pretty well at the start of the race, but he's struggling in this traffic. So he's going to make this pass on Paul Menard. Dave?
And guys, right now with the 48, he calls his car 2 words that are not good: bouncing and loose. So they didn't make any adjustments on that first stop. They're going to have to do some on the next stop.
And the 24 car, Jeff Gordon going by, taking the 5th position away from Casey Kane.
And to go back to something they were talking about that Dave said there about Jimmy Johnson talking about bouncing, I think that starts to happen here as this racetrack rubbers up. The rubber that's being put down on the track, it gets in the seams of this concrete also, and that can create a bouncing problem, as you see Montoya trying to take that 3rd spot away from Greg Biffle here. He will do that.
I don't know how many times I've heard the word basketballs here at this racetrack from a driver. They say, that feels like the tires are basketballs bouncing through the corner.
The concrete is not your smoothest surface to begin with. They've ground this racetrack a number of times trying to smooth it up, but you still get a lot of that, and you put these cars and all of that in this rubber being put down, then it really makes that problem really stand out to a driver.
Several cars in the garage area. The 71 of David Gillen, the 09 of Mike Bliss, and the 87 of Joe Nemechek have headed to the garage, and the 9 car is backing up.
And he is struggling. He's lost a couple spots here in the last few laps. Just pulls over and lets Kyle Busch go by.
I feel like my tires are blown up with air.
There we go. That's what I've heard. I don't know how many times. So it feels like the front tires just have way too much air in them, and it's just, it just makes them chatter and bounce through the corner.
And you'll hear that complaint from drivers at this racetrack more than you will any other, because, again, of the surface and how fast that you're going here. As you see Montoya moving in, trying to take over that 2nd spot from Ryan Newman.
We talked about how Montoya is making his own history this year. In years past, only his 3rd full year as a NASCAR Sprint Cup Series driver, and he is driving that thing down underneath the Chevy of Ryan Newman to take a spot away.
Just keep shaking my head just what this 42 car and team has been able to do since they've gotten in this chase. I mean, it's just amazing how fast they are the last 2 weeks.
What's been great, they had a plan to make the chase. They followed that plan. They stuck with it. They had good race cars. They didn't ever win. See Jeff Gordon going to the high side here and trying to make that work. But now that they've gotten in the chase, their plan is full attack, and that's what they're doing.
Speaking of full attack, look at Jeff Gordon now taking the spot away from Ryan Newman.
Well, he slid up a track a moment ago, and it looked like the 16 Biffle was going to go back by him. Gordon gathered it back in and just drove underneath the 39.
Looks like the 2 tires might not be great for Ryan Newman, or either he ran the car just a little bit hard, which you can do here if you're not careful.
This is race number 2 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, and here are the points as of right now. Mark Martin, you see, with a 5-point advantage over Kurt Busch. There's Montoya, Johnson, Hamlin, and Newman. See, Casey Kane would have moved up a spot. We see Jeff Gordon already up a couple of spots after dropping back last weekend with the disappointments at New Hampshire. 68 laps in the books. You're watching ESPN on ABC. Carl Edwards, Greg Biffle, and Matt Kenseth are driving Fords, and you could be too. Go to I'mDriving1.com to hear what the stars of Ford Racing have to say and register to win your own 2010 Ford Taurus. Greg Biffle, last year's winner in the 16 car, running in 4th position. His best finish of the year thus far in 2009 came right here back in May when he finished 3rd.
He's kind of made this his own personal playground over the last few years. Having another good run today.
Up front is the 2 car of Kurt Busch. And he is on 2 tires. They made a 2-tire stop. Let's take you up to speed with the leaders, starting with Kurt Busch and Shannon Spade.
What a great run it's been for this 2 car so far today. He finished 5th earlier this season, and he said he felt that he had the car that could have won that race, and they pretty much picked up right where they left off. That 2-tire change really helped this car. It started off loose. Now it's a little bit on the snub side, and Kurt Busch says he likes the way it feels. But hunting him down right behind him is the 42 car of Juan Pablo Montoya. His crew is telling him he is one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. This is a brand new race car that the 42 has brought here today. They actually brought it to the tire test earlier this season. They ran about 230 laps in that test and were able to try some different setups, including the one they unloaded with this weekend. Dave?
Jamie, DJ made a reference to sharing setups, and we played that piece in our countdown where the Hendrick teams work together. Steve Letarte, Jeff Gordon's crew chief, told me that we all changed a lot as a company overnight. The funny thing was that all weekend it seems like we've been changed a lot and only changed our speed, faster or slower. The balances have stayed the same, and that's a good thing. Right now for Jeff, his car just a little bit tight on throttle as he continues on. 16 of Greg Biffle running right now with a similar problem, but a little tight off the corner for Biffle. Again, trying to duplicate the success he's had here at Dover so far. Right now running in good position. Jimmy Johnson has moved his way back up after a start where we talked about the basketballs. We talked about a bouncing race car, and crew chief Chad Knaus encouraging his driver as he makes a couple of passes up toward the front and puts himself back near where he started the race. Jamie?
And Ryan Newman, who was your leader there for a while, started out great, but that 2-tire option, as DJ said, is not working out right now. He's really loose. He wants a wedge adjustment and track bar adjustment. You see Tony Gibson on the right-hand side. This is one of the best tracks for Ryan Newman. It is his best in the chase, so they're looking to make this car better, guys.
And the car on the move, though, is right behind him, has been the 18 car of Kyle Busch, right behind Ryan Newman. There's Kyle back in the 7th position, and he is moving very quickly toward that top 5.
We see the 00 now pitting under green, out of fuel. I cannot believe that they made that mistake of not putting fuel in this car the last time. The rule is that you can't put fuel in before that competition caution. In other words, if it comes out at 10 or 12, you can't come in and put fuel in. But that's what that competition caution was for, was to be able to put fuel and tires on. Shannon?
Yeah, they little miscommunication there. They do not have enough fuel. This was a scheduled pit stop, but perfect timing also for David Rudiman because he thinks he may have a left front tire going down. So they're going to put 4 tires on this 00. They're going to take a look at that tire and see if there are any issues. He will also follow up to see if there are any problems on that 00.
So he will lose 1 lap and possibly 2 before he can get up to speed as the leader comes off of turn 4.
Well, we finally got a couple of cans of Sunoco fuel in there. Now he can get back to racing.
The 36 car Michael McDowell and the 66 of Dave Blaney have both gone to the garage area. 82 laps complete. Kurt Busch, our leader.